Good afternoon. This is Mairead Painter, the State Long-Term Care Ombudsman from the state of Connecticut, and I'm joined this afternoon by Nora Duncan. Nora, if you want to take a chance to introduce yourself.
I sure do. Thank you, Mairead. I'm Nora Duncan. I am the State Director for AARP Connecticut, and I'm happy to be here to talk a little bit about what it's going to look like to vote safely in Connecticut in 2020, particularly for folks in the long-term care settings and in nursing homes, because this is going to be a very different year, and we are all about making sure people understand what this looks like so that nobody's vote is missed in 2020.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And it is so important. We want to make sure that every resident, whether they're in a nursing home, a residential care home, managed residential community, or assisted living, has that opportunity, understands how to vote, and that the team members that work with them on a regular basis feel comfortable in accessing information. And so that's why we thought the partnership with AARP, that nonpartisan, just information. And so we will be posting this on our website so that all homes, all long-term care communities have access. And then even people outside of long-term care communities, this could serve as information for them too, correct?
Correct. This applies to everybody in the state this year. So whether you're watching this because you're the family member of someone in one of the settings you mentioned, or because you're in one yourself, I mean, it's for you, it's for me, it's for everybody.
Awesome. Well, we so appreciate it. And we will also be posting some written information. And so you can either find that on our website, or we will be putting it in the link as we are recording this today. So with that, Nora, I will hand it over to you.
Okay, so I'm going to make sure I get this all right. So may have to read from my notes for things. But so today is September 3rd when we're recording this. And starting on September 8th and going through about September 11th, the Secretary of the State, Denise Merrill, through her office, not through a third-party mail house, which is what happened during the primary, will begin mailing applications for absentee ballots to every registered voter in Connecticut. And so that's going to start coming out, and this is going to arrive in your mailbox. Now, if it doesn't arrive in your mailbox, we don't need to panic because there's other ways to do this. But I want to point out that what is so important to pay attention to the rules associated with this, because more than 500,000 mail-in ballots during the primary season in 2020 did not get counted nationwide because people didn't follow the instructions properly. Now, not that many, I don't think, happened here in Connecticut, but there are always some that don't get counted because the instructions are really specific. And if not following them, it's going to make your ballot invalidated. So okay, so you can wait and get this in the mail. So, but you and I have talked, Mairead, about some concerns that if somebody was in a nursing home, maybe due to COVID, maybe their room has moved, we want to make sure that people understand this is coming to you in the mail. If it doesn't arrive, they can be downloaded. And I know when this gets posted, your office is going to make sure it also includes the links to where you can download your application in English and Spanish. Those are available now. So that can start. But Connecticut has a two-part absentee mail-in ballot process. For the first time during a general election, and only during this general election, the laws of the state of Connecticut have changed to include concerns about COVID-19 as a reason to vote absentee. We have some of the strictest absentee balloting rules in the country. So being able to do this because of COVID, not because you have COVID, but because you have concerns about contracting it, you have concerns about bringing it home to your family, you have an underlying condition, you'll get put in quarantine if you leave. All of these things are absolutely a reason to vote by absentee ballot if that is what someone wants to do. You can still vote safely in person as well. There are going to be CDC guidelines being followed across our polls have been in the past. And so you should check with your individual town to make sure that's still the case, but make the assumption that it is. Just double check if you want to go vote in person, which is still completely, available in every single town. Just double check. So I want to go through the steps that you need to take if you choose to vote absentee. Okay, so you're going to take your absentee ballot application, fill it out. Then you're going to receive your absentee ballot, or you just go ahead and download it online yourself if you don't want to worry about it. You have to mark that ballot completely. And if you're taking the Secretary of State's, right, you mark it completely and don't make a mistake, because unlike in person, you can't get a new one. And then you're going to insert your folded ballot into an inner envelope. And this will make sense when you see what the Secretary of State sends you. Sign it, date it, seal it. It's very important, since ballots are only going to be counted if the inner envelope is signed. Remember, it's only one ballot per envelope. I've heard of cases where maybe a couple has said, oh, well, you know, I don't want to waste the postage, even though it's already prepaid. It's not wasting, it's already gone. So they put 2 ballots in one envelope. Now both of those votes are invalidated. You're gonna insert your sealed inner ballot into the outer envelope and then seal that. So it's an envelope inside an envelope. And you're going to return it to your town clerk by mail, or you can use the secure drop box. Each city and town will have a secure drop box. If you went through this during the primary season, you'll know that. And it's generally speaking located near or at the town hall. But you're going to want to check with your local website, your local officials, for the exact locations. We have set up our own website with all the details. This again will be put up with this video, but that's aarp.org/CT votes. It's also available in Spanish. We're going to have downloadable printable materials that people can distribute to go through what your rights are to vote, all the dates in terms of, like, if you're not registered, when you need to be registered by, changing parties, everything you need to know, including what I'm talking about now. And then you can also visit myvote.ct.gov. And that's the state's official site for what you really need to know and what you need to do to ensure that you are voting safely and that your vote counts in Connecticut in 2020. Again, there are steps that must be followed. They are on the documents coming to you in the mail, and they're the same for everybody. So if you're, you know, the rec director at a nursing home and you are going to help get people, make sure they're following the instructions they need to follow, it's the same for everybody. So once we get it right once, we can get it right a bunch of times. And so with that, I think, again, we want to make sure everybody's vote is counted. We don't want to be, it's going to be more than 500,000 people nationwide whose absentee ballots aren't counted in the general election if we're not really careful. And so we want to make sure, because this is new to everybody, that we do it right. And again, you can also just go vote in person.
Right. And so I have a question, Nora, for
Sure.
rec directors or individuals, maybe there's community housing that want to download the absentee ballot, and they're able to do that. How would they get the envelopes?
So it's a little different when you do the absentee ballot yourself.
Okay.
And that's a good question. And that is where you go to myvote.ct.gov. So if you just download it yourself, there's other processes. You can also still bring it into your clerk's office.
Okay.
The same way you would have. So, you know, if you knew, and I'm sorry, my landline that I've never answered is ringing. It's always something on these, isn't it?
It is. It is. No
so I think what I'm right about this, that, you know, there was always absentee balloting before COVID, but the reasons you could do it were super restrictive. But you could, right? And so you could always go to now town clerks are not necessarily wanting people to come in like they were before, but some towns are handling this differently. You can drop it off in person. You can download it yourself and vote this and do it the same way it's always been. But when this mail-in balloting happens, it's really important that the application and the ballots go in a very specific way. Now, I am not the world leading expert in Connecticut on voting, so let's take that for everyone to know.
Would you suggest that they reach out to their town clerk, explain
absolutely
who they are, what they're doing, and find out ahead of time, weeks ahead of time, we have this community, this is what they want to be able to do? How do we facilitate that?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. So if you know you have, 80 people that all want to do this and you're the rec director, the town clerk is absolutely there to help you. And that's, they're getting a lot more calls than they usually do. They're probably a little stressed out. So to your point, Mairead, doing this early, we know right now that this is coming. So we don't want to wait until October 31st to have that conversation, because, we're gonna lose people's ability to vote. So, again, it's myvote.ct.gov and then aarp.org.ctvotes.ct/ctvotes. Sorry, aarp.org/ctvotes. And all of the information you need to know is there too. So if you feel confident with what you've got from those two sites, you're good. But that's what the town clerk is for. The League of Women Voters can be very helpful. There's all sorts of folks in the community who can be a resource. And you can also always email us at ct@aarp.org, and we will get you the best information that we can to help you facilitate whatever it is you need to facilitate in your community or with your family member.
Wonderful. Well, that is wonderful information. We so appreciate it. And so to everyone out there, thank you for either signing on and joining us or for reaching out and watching the recording today. If you have other questions or concerns, as Nora said, you can reach out to AARP, or you can always contact the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program, and we're happy to try to assist as well. Thank you
so much. Have a good one.
Thanks for being here.